let's move on to the last district, which is Representative Andy Kim versus Bob Healey. Andy Kim, who's been there 2 terms, was a civilian advisor to General David Petraeus in Afghanistan, worked in the State Department as a diplomat. Bob Healey hasn't held political office yet. He was in a punk rock band for 8 years, a singer. He moved to the family business, which is selling yachts. His mom has financed the campaign primarily with $2.7 million donation. Is Kim vulnerable? Mike, you want to start that one off?
Well, again, I think the changing of the district has made this a very difficult race. This was a classic swing district for the last decade and a half here, in that John Adler won it. It had been Republican for many years. Democrat won it in the Obama wave. A Republican won it back. Stayed Republican for a while, and then under Trump switched back to Democrats. So again, under the old district, I would say this is one where the Republicans are going to win. This makes it a little bit harder with some of the parts of the Republican parts of the district taken out and more Democratic parts put in. It makes it harder. I think Healey's life story is an interesting one, a punk rock band, but he and the family have been very philanthropic in terms of what they've done, both locally and around the world. I mean, they are people who have really, really put their money where their mouth is in terms of trying to make the world a better place. And I think if he does a good job getting that life story out, it doesn't look like a typical DC caricature Republican. This is somebody who's been very generous with his time and with his finances to try to do that. It's a very intriguing life story. I think Andy Kim has done a good job showing his life story, whether picking up glass at the Capitol on January 6th, and he features his family in a lot of stuff. So it's an interesting race, and that I think you could have 2 kind of likable people running against each other, and maybe we wouldn't, but I don't live in that media market, so I don't see the terrible ads that I see in the North Jersey races in terms of just, crushing each other. But Healey is someone who's an impressive human being. I don't know if that has come across enough in the campaign to help him or not, but I think in terms of somebody, will be, by whatever the result of this campaign is, I think he will be.
Julie?
We've got a lot of people who are members of the Lucky Sperm Club running this year for Congress, right? I mean, this guy's had his mom put in a couple $1 million for him into an IE so that he could go after.
Julie, if I can interrupt for a second. I mean, to me, I find that like, there are a lot of people who do that and never put themselves forward for public service, who then go live a life of luxury and no responsibility whatsoever. I mean, John F. Kennedy was a member of that club, right?
You're absolutely right.
I admire people who are given great things and then put themselves out in the front. They're going to get crushed with millions of dollars of negative TV ads. Their kids are going to see terrible things about them said. I mean, it is, as you and I both know, it is soul crushing to run for office. So for wealthy people who could be doing anything with their life to put themselves forward for public service on either party, I praise them. I don't think we should mock them.
Would you say that about Donald Trump?
I would say that Donald Trump also was born on 3rd and said that.
But I mean, look, people go into public.
Donald Trump has earned all the scorn that he is given. I would say other people who run for Congress who maybe, you and I don't know as well, probably don't deserve that scorn just because they're wealthy.
I'm not
Julie,
putting any. I'm not putting much scorn in. I'm simply saying that when you have your mom coming and bailing you out financially, it says to me that you may not be able to attract enough support from within the district to be able to do it yourself, right? And the reality is that Andy Kim has delivered tremendously for his district. I think we all are, and I don't live in that media market either, but we're all incredibly familiar with Andy Kim mopping up the mess that the opposing party made on January 6th. Which to my knowledge, nobody's really condemned in the Republican Party, in Washington, at least in Washington, I know you have, Mike. And so the reality is that, again, for all of these people, what are they running to do? They are running to empower a Republican majority that will effectively allow Donald Trump to say the following. Look, January 6th was no big deal. The voters didn't care because they just rewarded our party with a majority in the House and the Senate. And there is not one Republican, whether it's the guy running against Andy Kim, or whether it's the guy running against Josh Gottheimer, or whether it's the guy running against Mikey Sherrill, or whether it's the guy running against Tom Malinowski, who's been able to answer that question. Is this really the message that we are sending, that we are about to reward a political party for what they did less than 2 years ago and have never come out against it as a party and said, what we did is despicable? 2 people, 2 Republicans in the House have done that.
Okay, I need to interject here. Bob Healey is the one of these 4 who has said that Biden legitimately won the election and what happened on January 6th was not normal political discourse, and he's been better than the other ones on as far as his objections.
You know,
Better
I
from
don't
my
want
point of
to,
view.
I don't want to define deviancy down here, but really that's the measure that we're taking, that, oh, January 6th was a shame, too bad. That
No, I think he does.
that
he's
Joe
doing it
Biden won
because it's
election.
supposed-
How about saying I'm not going to vote for Kevin McCarthy for speaker because Kevin
That's
McCarthy is
different,
bending
Julie.
over
You're
backwards
changing-
to accommodate.
You're changing, you can't say.
I'm
You're
not.
changing, it's a different, it's a different
But I'm
question.
not, because what you're about to do by giving these people the majority, they're all going to be, listen, they're all going to be soldiers in the Donald Trump army. They are going to be backbench freshmen who are going to be soldiers and yes men in the Donald Trump army. And this is what we're about to do. We're about to reward what happened less than 2 years ago by giving the party back the power that was behind all this.